All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin. All right, welcome back to the other side of the coin, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully there's no mishaps today. It doesn't look like it. My internet is holding up quite nicely. And I think Jonathan's internet is also holding up quite nicely. So hopefully we'll have a smooth sailing today. Hoping, inshallah, hopefully it happens like that. And we can give you guys a wonderful show, just like last night UK time. I'm really enjoying these late night conversations. I'm pretty sure some of the people are enjoying it as well. Jonathan, my man, man, how you doing, bro?
I'm good. I haven't heard that intro whilst being backstage for a while, so it was quite nice to listen to. I always enjoy that. And look, always, as you say, great to come on and chat late night. A lot has gone on today since yesterday's interesting discussion points. So yeah, happy to be here and get into it.
Good stuff. Big up to each and every one of you guys that has joined in. Big up Tariq. Always great to see Tariq. He's always here. Harrison is here. Harrison generally doesn't. Today's one worked out nicely for him, which is fantastic. Yes, Miz, how's it going? Sorry, I haven't been on the stream lately. I've been having a lot of uni work, but I'm glad to catch this one. Excellent. Felix, big up to you as well, my man. Good to see you. Wait, is this stream or premiere video? This is live stream, brother. This is live stream. You're on live, so this is fantastic. Ahmed is saying you cry, man. I'm sorry, Ahmed, that I cry. I do apologize. I'll see if I don't cry this time. Mope is here. Josep, Aaron, and Ahmed again. You cry, bro. Ahmed, please try and put some more input into your comments if you can. Don't be just saying you cry, man, because, yeah, this is a channel that we want to invite intellectual discussions. We want to invite thoughtful, conversation. So put down a commentary that you really want us to discuss, as opposed to coming here and just going, you cry, bro. That's just not this type of a channel. You're honestly not going to... Sometimes you may get a reaction from me because I'd be upset or mad. But generally, you're not going to get a reaction, brother. That's just not this type of channel. If you want that kind of channel, there's plenty other YouTube content makers that give you that sensationalized, reaction. And I'm 38, brother. Like, I don't have time for kids, honestly. I got 2 kids. I don't need more kids. Do you know what I mean? And Jonathan's a father as well. He's got a kid. He don't have no time for mingling with kids. So if you're looking for some sort of a kid reaction, I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry. Jonathan, let's get stuck into it, man. I watched the first half of Man United versus Fulham versus Man United, and then after that I went to bed because it was just too late, and it was such a boring game. I was like, this is rubbish. Like, I'm wasting my time here. Went to bed, but I just had this feeling this Man United team was always going to get a jammy winner, and as soon as I woke up, I wanted to check the scores. Obviously, was very happy with Arsenal losing to Newcastle, which we'll touch base on as well. There's some controversy going there. But straight away, I saw Man United 1-0, 90th minute winner from Bruno Fernandes. And I was so upset. I was happy with the Arsenal loss. But as soon as I saw Man United, I'm like, honestly, Jonathan, how does this team, week in, week out, obviously they get battered here and there as well, obviously, but they always seem to squeeze out these victories, man, when they probably don't deserve it. It's mad and it's sickening to me that these guys are 6 points ahead of us. They're not good. I know we've not been good. They're not good. Jonathan, how are we 6 points behind these guys? How are we 6 points behind?
It's beyond me, to be honest. I've seen quite a few of their games this season. I saw quite a lot of the Man City game where they were beaten from start to finish. I saw snippets of it today, but as you say, it's quite boring. It's not, I watch Chelsea every week, and it's not exactly a great time to be a Chelsea fan, to watch games, and you suffer through those. So it's like, if I then tune into another team who I want to enjoy and it's suffering and it's boring, I'm just going to switch it off. It was like I watched a bit of the Newcastle Man United game. I know there was obviously a much changed lineup, but it was just domination from start to finish. I'm not going to enjoy that. The only team I'll enjoy watching dominating is Man City. again, they can be quite boring. So yeah, just to look at this Man United side, they haven't got much quality throughout. The defense is shoddy. They've had a lot of injuries as well.
They're crap. Just say it, bro. They're crap.
The reason I don't say it too much is because, as you say, or as I've seen on Twitter, we're not doing much better, but they're 6 points ahead of us. And it's like, the fact that they are is sickening. And you know what it is? It's because even when in some games they have to dig down and they're not playing very well, they still manage to sneak a goal. And I know today's goal against Fulham was pretty lucky. They failed to clear the ball twice. Came to Bruno Fernandes and he kind of squeezed it in the bottom corner. And you can see the relief of him when he celebrates because, you know, as you say, Man United have been awful, but they still somehow got this aura where it gets to the deep end of the game and teams think, oh, you know, they might get a goal here. And I think I'm not saying that's the Fergie hangover. I'm not saying it's you know, something that teams are more scared than they are playing against us. But like against us, teams just know we haven't scored in the first half an hour, they're going to win the game. I don't know what it is. There's still a slight bit in the head of Man United that, they might just sneak a goal.
Do you reckon we've kind of lost that aura? Like
we have.
Back in the days, we get these type of winners. Like we also were known for getting winners, you know? We've lost that, right?
We barely come from behind and touch on a few things. I suppose the first one, we don't score the first goal. When we do, we don't always capitalize. We do normally win, but we don't capitalize on it. Like against Arsenal, we go 2-0 up. We should have gone 3-4-0 up and finished the game off. But we go behind. I don't feel like we're going to win. You know, we don't ever get late goals. You know, it's very rare to see late goals at Stamford Bridge. I think last season we had 1 or 2. So out of a 19-game home season is poor. So yeah, look, the fact that they somehow managed to get through victories and get through games is credit to them because they are a lot worse than us. They've got more issues than us. I think that the issues are far rooted deeply rooted,
much deeper,
and they haven't got a team for the future. I mean, they've got little bits sprinkled across the team of players that can be there for a long period, but really and truly, that squad needs a complete gutting and rebuild again, and they've tried that several times.
Jonathan, do you believe like their players? We all know that Erik ten Hag's in a lot of pressure at the moment. Like, had they lost against Fulham, there would have been immense push from a Man United fan base to get rid of him, maybe even tonight. But do you feel their players somehow, and it dates back from the Solskjaer situation, they always, their players somehow keep their manager, and they, just on the verge of the manager being sacked, they always pull out something. I feel like if Poch ever gets into this situation, which I think he may be over the next 5 fixtures, I don't know if our players are going to be able to pull Poch out of a sticky situation. Do you feel that is the sense sometimes that Chelsea players at times just let the managers down?
Yeah, there's been a history of that under Abramovich and even under the Tuchel thing. I think a lot of players down tools. I think that the fact that he's got a core of Ajax players that he's brought through that feel lucky to be there, like Anthony, who is nowhere near a €100 million player. You've got Onana, who's made mistakes.
He's rubbish.
So,
wow. And we have lost. And we have lost Jonathan for the first time, but I'm pretty sure he'll be back. So far, his internet was actually pretty good. But he will be back. I'll take some of the comments now. Felix, because I still think Jackson is not the right profile for us. Great runner. Fast, can get into spaces, but finishing not on point, as well as his shooting. We need poacher, create chaos in box and position well. And I absolutely agree. And Jonathan, as we know, is back. Jonathan, overall, your internet's been fine. I don't know why it keeps dropping off, but your internet's been actually pretty good. So
yeah, I think, as I said previously, it's like my work. I think there's something in the background that needs to sort of my IT. It's just a work laptop. But yeah, so I think I was just talking about touching on Man United points about the players. I think, they know, as well as Chelsea, who else are they going to bring in as a manager? I think that's why Man United are hesitant to kind of sack him. And I think he looks devoured of ideas, just like Poch does at times. I think Poch has got a lot more leeway than Ten Hag because he's been given so much money and he's been effectively given a project. Ten Hag has been given a lot of broken pieces that he's got to put together in a never-ending puzzle. So, there are some similarities between us and Man United, but I think that they're in a much worse position. I know they're somehow 6 points ahead of us, but they're in a much worse position if you look at the long term, in my opinion. I don't think Ten Hag is quite as meticulous as a manager as Poch, and I don't think he'll be able to coach them out of this. I do think he will end up leaving. Maybe it'll be a couple of months, but I think he will end up leaving. I think Poch will be given until at least the end of the season. But it's interesting, and that's the thing. I have to be very careful in my criticism, especially when I speak to friends that I know that Man United fans, because it's like, well, I can criticize you, but I look at our league position and we were 14th at one point today, and it's rather embarrassing. We were only 6-7 points ahead of Sheffield United at one point when they beat Wolves, and it's just crazy to think that a team so bad as Sheffield United that we're only 6-7 points ahead. Crazy.
Bro, I don't know if you've noticed this. Some news coming out from PYS. A lot of people have been talking about this. I don't know how I feel about this, man. Give me 1 second.
Going to add insult to injury. I've just read the first part, and I'm going to quickly check it now.
Yeah,
I don't know where these quotes are from.
Let me just actually hold on. Let me actually properly do this. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, no.
And then we can talk about it. Live chat. Let us know as well how you feel about all of this. As you can see over there, Pochettino.
He said it's from the Mail Sport. I don't quite. It's just that's the only ones that have been.
Yeah, so it's coming from Mail Sport. I've just put. Why is this acting like this? Oh, okay. All right. So let me just read this out. Pochettino says, "I'm going to accept what they fans show. I didn't decide to leave. I was sacked. But it is not a criticism of the club. That is the difference. We didn't decide to leave. Maybe we could still be there at Spurs." Why is he talking like this, bro?
I'm interested to see where the quotes are coming from. As I say, it just says Mail Sport. But if that's another thing he said, I mean, he's just needs to learn to button it, to be honest.
But why is he saying, I mean, if he has said this, we'll see if there's more sources coming out. Why is he saying that he could still be there? But you're not just this is what I said yesterday, bro. Just shut up. Just honestly, just shut up now.
I think that's I don't know. That's the thing. I really want to know whether this came out yesterday, whether it was I don't think it was in the same press conference. I didn't watch the entire thing. I watched snippets of it. I hope it wasn't. But for him to then be quoted, maybe the Mail are quoting some Spanish. We don't know. It's interesting to see. I think there'll certainly be more from PYS on that. And you know how he is. He will start getting all the quotes and all the links and you know where it's coming from.
PYS generally doesn't put out crap stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like he puts out.
Because then CFC Daily's now just said from Adrian Kajumba and Sami Mokbel, concerned about whether Pochettino was enough of a winner was said to be an additional factor when Spurs were looking for a manager during the summer.
Yeah, I saw someone comment this. Let me just bring this out.
I've seen a little bit of that as well. So
look, I think this is it, right? This is it from
a lot of people that were questioning me yesterday and now quote tweeting PYS's tweet and basically saying like, "What are you doing?" It's quite interesting to see the turn. So I obviously had enough yesterday. I think this could be a point today where already people are reacting to it on Twitter, online, or X. You know, there's already a lot of hate he's getting already.
Yeah, I think when I share, there seems to be a problem. So I won't share. We could just we'll just talk it out. I suppose I'm pretty sure Jonathan will be back very, very soon. Don't worry about that, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, this is the comment. Concern about whether Pochettino was enough of a winner was said to be an additional factor when Spurs were looking for a manager during the summer. I mean, Spurs are saying that Pochettino, if he's enough of a winner, far out, man. Far out. We need to win. We need to beat these guys. Sorry, Jonathan. I think when I share screen, it tends to drop you out as well. So I won't share the screen of tweets. But this is the thing. Josip has put out the tweet over here. Concern about whether Pochettino was enough of a winner was said to be an additional factor when Spurs were looking for a manager during the summer. Honestly, Jonathan, we need to slap these guys up. Like, if this isn't an insult enough, like, Pochettino is literally being said that some sources from Spurs who have obviously passed on those messages to Adrian Kajumba and Sami Mokbel, saying that Spurs didn't want to go back to Pochettino because they thought if he's enough of a winner. Bro, this is not just any ordinary game for us anymore. Like, this is do or die. I don't even know anymore if draw is good enough. Like, I honestly think Pochettino needs to put a statement victory against Spurs to shut everyone up and to give Chelsea fans some respectability as well. Because not only are we seeing this, and then obviously, as you can see in the ticker below, Poch is saying that maybe he could have still been at Spurs. Bro, he needs to win, bro. He needs to win.
It's just unnecessary pressure. As I said yesterday, it was a tipping point. I've had to defend myself against people today, and I will die on this hill that it was a stupid thing to say. And for these quotes to come out now, again, you have to look at the validity of it and where it's come from. But the initial kind of thought doesn't look good. Sometimes you just need to know when to button it. You know, people complain about some interviews that Lukaku have given. Some of these things that Pochettino said are along the lines of that. You know, you don't need to appease opponent fans. I don't care if we're playing them. I don't care if you had a great time there. You don't sit with your new employers coming up against a big derby, a big rivalry, in my opinion, and start, you know, being so sweet to the opponent and the fans, because even the fans, I think, will still be annoyed that he's moved to us. So, you know, trying to appease them at this point, they're probably sitting there laughing, thinking we didn't get him. We turned him down. We're top of the league. They're suffering in 12th. And he's giving us all these lullabies. I mean, Spurs fans must be absolutely loving it. They'll be rejoicing. And it's embarrassing.
Yeah. No, you're right, man. Do you believe what, by the way, big up to Kafka's View. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to Kafka's View, make sure you go out there and subscribe to him. He also does some very, very good emotional type of...
and honest as well. Honest and he
well.
doesn't care what he says compared to other people, and that's why I respect him 100%.
Yeah, make sure you guys follow him and subscribe to him as well. You're going to get quality content. Kafka's View is Jonathan, someone... it's not like he's backing Poch just for the sake of backing him, but he's just saying that, look, it's only been 10 games. He also realizes that it hasn't been a good start. But just like what we said yesterday, I think it would be ridiculous to get rid of him now. But I think the pressure will keep mounting as he keeps on losing more games. Do you know what I mean? But he's saying over here, I don't believe the article about enough of a winner. The timing of the article is very interesting. I mean, of course, Spurs match just around the corner. The timing is absolutely sweet. Well, what's your intuition saying? Do you think this article is somewhat true, or probably not? I tend to think maybe Spurs did consider Poch at one stage, but perhaps they just looked the other way, because there was a rumor that maybe he could make a comeback to Spurs again.
Yeah, I was surprised they didn't go after him in the summer, to be honest. As much as Ange kind of fits a philosophy of an underdog and someone looking to develop a team, yeah, I was surprised. I did think at the start of the process that we were going to get Nagelsmann, as I said yesterday. So yeah, it was something that I didn't 100% expect. So the fact that they turned him down, I mean, they did sack him, and he'd finished second in the Champions League. They got him to a final. He done okay compared to the amount of investment that they gave him. So yeah, for a club that loved him and he seems to love, that didn't want to bring him back, interesting. I think the fans would certainly have taken him back. So yeah, I just don't get all the reminiscing. We're sitting here talking about something that doesn't need to be discussed. He's made unnecessary talking points. And as I say, it's just going to give Spurs fans even more ammunition. If we don't win, even if we draw, to be honest, it's still going to be Poch came in and gave us a nice, easy keeps our unbeaten run after Arsenal lost theirs today. I don't think about calming down, though, Collington. I know Miz obviously put this on the screen.
Jonathan, are we putting unnecessary pressure?
We're not doing it, exactly. We are reacting.
Yeah, we're reacting. I'm not the one who's saying all of that stuff, am I?
Doing it himself. It's unnecessary. And people keep telling me it's mind games. It's mind games. I've never seen Poch play mind games like this ever. I don't think that kind of manager.
What do you have to say about that particular sentence where Collington has said, "What the heck did he say wrong?" Do you want to elaborate? Like, I don't understand how
what he said wrong.
Fans don't seem to understand what he's saying.
If these quotes are correct from tonight, the fact that he is reminiscing about being at Spurs, not being at Spurs, being sacked, the fact he still wants to be there, that's fine if that's how you feel, that you feel hard done by that you were sacked 2-3 years ago. But you can't sit here now and say almost that you wish you were there, because you're now under contract with another club, being paid very generously, been giving a lot of backing from fans who traditionally do not like Spurs players or managers, that we've almost brought him into the mold, given him hopefully some time this season So the fact to come out and say this and romanticize about a former employer, it's just weird. And yesterday's comments where he said he hopes or thinks that Spurs can win the league, I don't care. And if you knew the history of the Tottenham...
And that he will be happy. He said, I'll be happy if they win the league.
Well, that's the thing. He said he'll be happy. And he also said he'll be happy to go back. Yeah. I think the thing that got me with the most was he'll be happy to go back. He had some great years there. Again, that's fine if you're being honest. You didn't need to play up to the journalists. You didn't need to say that out loud. There's some things best left unsaid. As I gave you the analogy yesterday about, going into a job interview and romanticizing about your previous employer. You don't do that. Well, why would you leave? And he'll say I was pushed and I was sacked. But, there was a reason that it happened. Levy's not someone to pull the plug very quickly.
Jonathan, let me give you a fine example. And to the live chat as well. This is where it's going to make a lot of sense to you guys, because I like to put a lot of footballing issues into real life situations so that you guys can relate and we can start understanding. Jonathan, you would have known I recently got a new job. I left my previous job. I got a new job. Alhamdulillah, good pay, good environment, better situation for me. Not that my previous job wasn't bad, but I just got over the previous role. Right? I've been there for a long time. That was my second stint in that particular company, and I just needed a new challenge. And now I got myself a new challenge. And things in the first week, alhamdulillah, it's looking very good. Right? Let me tell you what happened in my first week, the week that just went last week. Every time I spoke to my new colleagues and my new manager, my new CEO that wanted to come up and get some insight from my previous company, I kept on referring my ex-company as my company. Every time I spoke, I said, this is what my company did over there. Or this is what we did. I kept on referring my ex-company as still like something I'm there still. Do you know what I mean? A couple of my ex-colleagues kept coming and they came up to me and said, "Miz, not trying to be disrespectful or anything. And I know it's going to take a bit of time for you to forget, because when you're speaking, that's not your company anymore. You can't say my company or we used to do that over, basically they're trying to say you're here now. This is your company now. Do you know what I mean? So they
get your head in the game and I suppose just, acclimatized to where you are now. There's no need to talk about the past.
They weren't trying to be rude to me or anything like that, but they just said when you're having conversations with your CEO or your manager, you can't say, my company over there or like that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? So understand, ladies and gentlemen, Pochettino is a Chelsea manager now. You can't be talking like that. And I completely get it. I have to, when I talk about my previous employer, I need to check myself how I am delivering my message to my current employer that pays me. I can't be going around telling my current employer, well, they did that better. That was better over there. That situation was better over there. Their system was better. This, that, the other. I can't be saying that willy-nilly open. I can keep that information to myself and pick my points where I want to share that and how I want to share that. I have to be articulate, because if I'm not, my current employer is going to think, what's going on here? Like, get your head in the game, mate. Like, you're one of us now. Similar to Pochettino, brother, you're not Spurs manager anymore. I completely get it. Look, Jonathan, I'm not some sort of a robot. I understand, man. Like, I get it. He spent some really enjoyable, lovable times at Spurs. He cried when they made it to the finals. I know those scenes when they were down against Ajax in the semi-finals in the Champions League, and the miraculous comeback through Lucas Moura. I know those scenes. He cried. I get it, right? He probably didn't want to leave, but you cannot tell that to us. Do you know what I mean? You just can't. We don't want to hear that, right? Is this too unreasonable, Jonathan, to feel like that? If your current employer feels like that about, you can't be, I'm paying you. You can't be talking like that about your ex-employer.
I don't understand why one of the press team or one of the owners or someone in the club has just had a little word in his ear at some point and just said, look, mate, just give it a little bit of a chill pill. The fans do not like any reference to Tottenham. As much as I don't sing it, there are people that do at every single Chelsea game, they say we hate Tottenham. So the fact that you can see it so raw in games continually just shows the affection that we have for Tottenham, and there's none there. So yeah, I think you just have to understand the situation you're in. I thought he was intelligent enough to read the room. I think there's situations here where he isn't, and he just needs someone to tell him just to calm down and just.
And we've lost Jonathan, but he'll be back very, very soon. But yeah, you guys are absolutely right in the live chat. As Lucky, big up to you as well. Miz, you said said what you said because you still feel connected. Exactly. And that was my first week. So it was very difficult to have a conversation completely forgetting about my previous employer. But as Harrison said over here, true. But Miz, you had 1 week. Poch has had few months. Surely he knows this. Absolutely. I feel like Poch is at a situation where he should know. He should know by now that it's just not on. So yeah, Jonathan, continue, brother.
Yeah, I'm just looking at someone's reaction to the PYS tweet.
Apparently, there's a new tweet. 19 seconds. Can I just quickly read this out, Jonathan?
Yeah, do that.
Pochettino has refused to provide assurances he will keep his emotions in check on Monday, even if there is a little room for sentiment. He previously confessed during his time at Spurs he was nicknamed La Lorana, which translates to the crier by his mother due to his sense. What's all this, bro?
It's just from a football reporter from the Daily Mirror and Sunday Mirror. He's had a bit of time talking about Havertz, Man United today. So it's not just, I'm trying to see where the quotes are on his personal account, which they aren't. But again, it's... I think it was from yesterday. Oh my goodness. Pochettino, when asked about going back to Spurs, is like going to see an ex-girlfriend. Oh my goodness, it's difficult because I've been with my wife 32 years. I don't even remember having a girlfriend before my wife, so it's difficult to answer. That's a bit more pragmatic. I don't quite understand where the other parts have come from. Pochettino on potential boos. I won't say anything at the moment because until Monday we can't guess. The most important thing is that we cannot forget all we live together. I'm going to respect the people how they express. I won't change my feelings about the club. A little bit too far maybe. So yeah,
check this comment out from Tarek. Is this what's going to happen? Are you saying he will cry when he enters?
No, I think yeah, obviously PYS gets a lot of traction. I'm trying to see those direct quotes from Ryan Taylor. Maybe it's from an article, maybe it's from somewhere else. I'm trying to look through his account, obviously, to see the direct tweets, but he would have found it somewhere. He has always had lots of heat for stuff that isn't true. So he is now very careful about what he tweets. And I'm sure that it is somewhere. But I mean, to continually see these silly quotes, on a Saturday night in the UK, 36 hours, 35, whatever it is, hours before the game, not even 2 days before the game.
Not ideal. Not ideal.
Not ideal at all. It's not preparation. You want everything to be around the build-up, be around the game. Obviously, there's a couple of Premier League games tomorrow. They should be talking about that. The media, they shouldn't be talking about, Pochettino going back to Spurs. And I know it's a narrative that, the media want to push. He's going back to Tottenham, who sacked him. He was at a Champions League final, didn't win anything there. He's only ever won at PSG. He's going back as Chelsea manager, who are struggling in 12th place, who have spent £1 billion. I know their net spend's different. So it is a narrative that the media want to push. Like they want to push it seems that the Erik ten Hag sacking, there's a lot of media push from mainstream to try and get him sacked. A lot from The Athletic, a lot from reporters, giving him a lot of heat. So it's interesting that Sky have slightly jumped on it, but haven't fully. Again, because there's some slight affiliation to Man United, I feel, with Gary Neville, etc. But it's weird that, once a narrative picks up, it very quickly escalates across all forms of media. And it seems right now there is a bee in the bow for Pochettino.
Do you know what, Jonathan? I'm just a bit surprised that Poch hasn't taken the reverse route, which is be aggressive and say, I'm going there to win. Like, I don't know if you remember when Jose Mourinho, or I think it might have been Conte, when he was the manager of Spurs and he played Chelsea, he said, I think it might have been one or the other. They said, look, my history with Chelsea, that's that. Like, it's over. Now I'm Spurs manager and I'm going there for the victory. I don't know whether it was Jose or whether it was Conte, but it was one of them. But even recently, Thomas Tuchel, when he was getting harassed and asked a lot of questions about Chelsea, he just shut it down by saying, look, It was a fantastic moment I had over there, but now I'm a Bayern Munich manager. That's it. Case closed. Like, I don't want any more
I
questions.
mean, he
of
just
Chelsea.
beat Dortmund 4-0, who he used to coach. You don't see him getting asked stupid questions, giving stupid answers. There's a lot of things that Pochettino has done wrong on the footballing side, and to then go wrong in very basic questions. I mean, the way journalists ask questions now is always to bait you. They all are given media training. Most interviews are pretty boring. You give silly answers because you get silly questions. How on earth he hasn't just been able to shut these down and just, go and talk in front of the mirror or go and talk to your wife about how much you love Spurs, because no one gives a rat's ass as a Chelsea fan. No one wants to hear it either. I say there's a deep-rooted hate for Tottenham. And, even my mates in the office.
Are you surprised that he hasn't actually gone out and just said, F Spurs, like, I don't care about them anymore. Like, it's done. It was a fantastic moment that we had.
Yeah,
you
should be.
I want to go out there and absolutely smash them. I want to win. And I hope all my players are feeling like that as well. I don't know how the players are going to be feeling moving into this match, seeing all of these quotes. Because all of these players, they are on social media. Believe me.
They see everything. Media. They see everything. And it's interesting that, managers like Mourinho choose violence, choose to kind of rub their nose in it, make a point, prove something, be a real winner. And that's why, and I touched on it yesterday about my concerns before he started as Chelsea manager, that he wasn't really a winner. As I've said that when he was Spurs manager, I said he'd never win anything as Spurs manager. I had mates that would say, you're talking out your bum crack. He's going to be a good manager. He's going to win trophies. I was proved correct because he never won anything at Spurs, continuing the bottle job mentality that they have. So for him to come here and just almost, as I said, romanticize, he's still maybe feeling a little bit soft, a little bit sensitive. I don't know why. That's not the kind of manager I want at Chelsea. I want a manager that takes no prisoners. He's very quick to come out and criticize players. About Madueke, he came out, fronted that up. We know Chilwell. There was incorrect pictures about Chilwell, but Chilwell's in the USA to have some time away because the guy can't stay fit. He addressed those. There's quite a few things he's done well as Chelsea manager. But these little things just are going to irritate you. And it has irritated me massively. And that's the thing. We should be focusing on how we're going to beat Tottenham. How we're going to take their unbeaten record. We're not playing well, but we are a team that has enough quality on the pitch, as we showed against Arsenal in quite a lot of the game, that we can control games. We can dominate the midfield. And we can win games of football. And that's the thing. It's going to be a massive midfield battle. And we're not even discussing that. We're talking about comments from a manager who has come in with a massive task, and he's not living up to the task at hand.
And do you know what, Jonathan? Do you also believe that the manager should be designing the fans' mentality as well? Like these comments that's been floating around, as you've said, we haven't talked about tactically. We've not talked about their strikers versus our strikers. We've not talked about their midfield versus our midfield. We've not talked about their defenders versus our defenders, their goalkeeper versus our goalkeeper. We're talking about comments. I feel like the manager has a responsibility to design and set the correct mentality of the fans as well, not just your players. But when you come to talk in press conference, you're not just talking to journalists, you're actually talking to the fans. You're actually letting your fans know and giving them an outlook. This is how I want you guys to feel. All of these comments that's coming out in the press conference or post-press conference or whatever the case is, it's kind of diluted our mindset as well moving into this match. Like every day I'm waking up before the match is upon us, I'm thinking, mate, we've got to beat these guys. I need to beat them. Like I'm sick and fed up of seeing Spurs on top of the table, the way they're moving. Everyone is so cocky from their side. But then I keep seeing these comments, Jonathan, and I'm like, I'm forgetting the match and I'm more caught up on these comments. And I'm like, it's kind of diluting my mindset for the match. Is that how you feel as well?
100%. It's irritating me. I'm up for this match as a fan, and it doesn't seem that the manager's up for it. And that's the thing. You kind of, it's interesting. You go back to those Terry comments on Costa, where he said that, I go to war, you come with me. And I'm not saying every manager is going to have the same mentality. And I'm not saying every player is going to have that kind of mindset to want to win and to be aggressive and to front these players up. But that's the thing. I just want to focus on the game, and we're not doing that. And that's what's irritating me. As much as we can rejoice in previous wins against Spurs, we had a great period of dominance against them. But now we go into this game as an underdog, and we've got a manager who's sucking up to a fan base that no longer supports him. It just seems weird to me. You know, as I say, we're not really on the timeline, even on X, talking about who do you think is going to start, what do you think is going to happen, how we're going to approach the game, where's the key battles. Everyone's talking about these silly comments.
Jonathan, do you think he is doing this because he didn't want to be booed going into that stadium? He's
Who
doing
cares
it
if he
in a
gets booed?
sense
I mean,
where
Rice was booed.
he wants to be celebrated. I feel like it almost feels like he wants to be applauded. There needs to be a standing up, ovation for him. It's kind of like he didn't want to set up a situation where he's entering that cauldron and feel that he's potentially gets booed. Like, do you think he's like he might get rattled if he gets booed?
I spoke to a West Ham season ticket holder who was at the game for West Ham Arsenal. He said there was some boos for Rice, as much as he's brought us in 105 million, won us a trophy, a major trophy in Europe. He served us for a long time. He wasn't an academy West Ham boy, but he grew up and as I say, has ended up giving him a lot of money, which they've reinvested really well. That kudos looks fantastic. They've also brought in Edison or Alvarez and Ward-Prowse. So they've done well out of it. But there's still some boos just because in football rivalry, you have to go, you have left us, your next player, we're going to give you a little bit of jib. But then there was some clapping. There was some respect from West Ham fans, I was told. So you've got to expect something. I mean, when Havertz came back to Stamford Bridge, it was a weird reception that he had from sitting in the stands. It was a bit like no one really cared. And that's the thing. Like, Pochettino should be caring about what the Chelsea fans think, what the players think of him, not what the journalists think, not what Tottenham fans think, not what anyone else really thinks. Because there's been some boos at Stamford Bridge this season for Pochettino. There's been a lot of people questioning his lineups pretty much every game. Questioning the substitutions, questioning the mindset, questioning how we front teams up, not going for the kill. And part of it is not his fault because we cannot finish. But there's things that you can affect as a manager. And one of the biggest things you can affect as a manager is what comes out of your mouth, especially in those press conferences. So to come out and be so naive when you know that people sit there waiting for the press conference quotes or waiting for the press conference to come out, you just be more careful with how you say things. It's the worst game. I probably wouldn't care as much if it was for another club. I think Spurs is probably, for some reason, the one that really gets my goat. So annoying to say the least.
Rivalry is deep, man. The rivalry is deep, and I fully understand it. And I think Poch should have understood it as well. I thought he would have understood it, but it looks like there's a really, really nice comment here from Lucky who says Poch is making me feel he's got no to face them because he once managed them. I think that might be the case. Varan, thank you so much for the super chat, my man. Poch behaving like a real when it's about Spurs. It looks like a lot of people are feeling like this. Jonathan, let's talk about something else now, man. Stuff this. Obviously, we've covered it as much as we can.
Covered it a lot, and it's frustrating. Yeah.
Maybe there's going to be more quotes that's going to be coming out. And it is what it is. We've also talked about the fact that how the hell is Man United 6 points ahead? I want to talk about Mason Mount and Havertz now, man. Thank God we've sold these two particular players, yourself and myself as well. I think. Look, Jonathan, you can understand. Obviously, I had Mason Mount's father on the channel, so I got a lot of heat when I started talking. I wouldn't say negatively. I was just stating the realistic point of view, just like as you did. You got a lot of abuse every time you pointed out Mason Mount as being bad. I got lots of hate when I shared that compilation, that failed compilation of Mason Mount, which I think ended up getting close to about 3 or 4 million views, and on X, and it absolutely blew up. After that, I got so many bad, abusive messages on X and on Instagram as well. Comments on YouTube too. But I knew Mason Mount was declining for at least the past 18 months. Now you can even say for 2 years, 2 seasons. He has been abysmal. I mean, Man United has been abysmal, but his quality is non-existent at the moment. He's not even starting, comes off the bench, and he's been so crap. There's a lot of ex-players that have been saying as well, Mason Mount has been absolutely stinking it up. Kai Havertz, similarly, Arsenal fans are now saying exactly what we have been saying for the past 3 seasons. What do you do, brother? What is your role? Like, what do you bring to the plate? Jonathan, how happy are you that we've actually cleaned up with these two players? Like, we've got so much. And just when I was about to question Jonathan, he's gone, but I'm sure he'll be back again. But yeah, live chat, let us know as well. How happy are you the fact that we've been able to get rid of Mason Mount and Kai Havertz and get the level of money that we did? Like, we've absolutely cleaned up. And I think it's a sensational piece of business that we did. I mean, Jonathan, as I was saying, how happy are you the level of money that we've earned from Mason Mount and Kai Havertz's sale? And these two players, I kid you not, I'm going to make a statement right now. You guys can clip me up and put it on wherever you want to put it, on X or on Instagram. I truly believe Kai Havertz is probably going to go back to Bundesliga sometime very, very soon. And I think Mason Mount will probably end up at a club like West Ham, Everton, somewhere around that, because I can't see how that pressure of number 7 at Man United. We always knew he don't have that quality. So many people said that he's better than Maddison. I said it even when Mason Mount was our player. I said it. Maddison is levels ahead. Levels ahead. It's not even a surprise for me that he's doing well at Spurs. He was always doing well at Leicester as well. So, Jonathan, what do you think about this Mason Mount and Havertz? What a business that we did.
Just to touch on Mount, 18 to 24 months, I think I've been talking negatively about him. And when I say negatively, I mean criticizing. I mean being honest. I mean being fed up of the way he was playing. I know he had some injuries. There was a lot of off-the-field issues. And it's the first time I'll say it on Chelsea media, because I couldn't be bothered to say it on Twitter because I was already getting so much heat for saying that he only scored and assisted against the likes of Leeds and Norwich. And I was told, but you have to score against Leeds and Norwich to win games. But it's the big games where you needed to affect. And people threw, semi-final, final, all this yada, yada. And then I throw back the Havertz scored in the Champions League final and Club World Cup final, and then he gets a load of heat. So it's like people would use a certain argument to push a narrative, whereas my narrative was always Mason Mount is not good enough for Chelsea. He had a very good start to his career at Chelsea, coming in as a youth player, when he was blended into the team, when he was brought into the team, when he had a good head on his shoulders, when he wasn't looked at by the glitz and the glamour of the money that could be earned, when his dad was a little bit more grounded. When he realized that there was, and I'll say this as candid as I can, but when you're a young white English boy who is going to be a darling of the media, and you're going to get sponsorship deals and you're going to get your head turned, and Chelsea is saying, we don't know how much we want to offer you. We don't know how long we want to give you a contract. And he's getting all these endorsements. He's being pushed by all these big celebrities and, people with a lot of clout that are giving him a lot of leeway of his performances, because they declined dramatically. And as I say, I was just continually saying he's not good enough. No narrative. My only narrative was he's not good enough. No agenda. It was he was not good enough. And I said privately that to a lot of my friends that Man United would bid for him. He would be given the number 7 shirt. He would become the new David Beckham in his eyes.
Beckham.
Or never had the talent of Beckham.
Right, when he such disrespect to David Beckham. David Beckham was a baller. David Beckham was a baller.
I'm watching a David Beckham documentary on Netflix, and the mentality that he has.
Superb documentary. Superb.
Exactly. It shows the levels between modern day and previous players, and the insight into Ferguson. But to see that it was really for me about the money. The video that was leaked about him and his dad in the dressing room, it all seemed very staged. The fact that he has not hit the ground running, the fact that he's just continued his form, because he has not developed as a player in the last 2.5 years. There's nothing he's added to his game. He's always someone that was box to box, but never scored enough goals, molded himself as a Lampard, but couldn't get the goals. So the fact that he left and we got a very good deal for him. And if you think about it, whilst it wasn't directly, but you bring in someone like Cole Palmer, who has the talent, has been molded by Pep, comes in, can actually play football, can affect matches, which Mason Mount wasn't doing for 18 months. It's a massive win for us. So that's Mount done. Mount is gone. For me, I don't pay too much attention to him. I don't even realise he even plays for Man United, because he rarely does. But it's a bittersweet one, because I got so much hate from Chelsea fans who I now see are disrespecting and cussing him. So it's a bitter win for me, because it's not a nice one. I don't sit here enjoying saying that people are not very good and being, giving them criticism, because I want Chelsea to do well. I want players that did care about the club to do well. But it just seemed that the love for him, when he kept talking about Pompey, which again was a club he supported as a kid, people were saying he was a Chelsea boy. He wasn't a Chelsea boy. He just came through the academy. you know.
Yeah.
So you have to be candid about how you speak about Mason Mount. To go on to Havertz, 4 years ago or 3 years ago, I was someone
You
who
loved
advocated for
Havertz, bro. You loved
I wanted him
Havertz.
at the club. I said we can't sign Sancho, which at least I was right about. We have to sign Havertz. And I stated that, or I used as a way to influence my decision, or, you know, back up my points by saying he was so good in so many different positions. He was a player that could be utilized in different roles. Now, that has almost been something that's played against him because no one knows his true position. He has quality, doesn't show it. There's no consistency. You know, the first touch.
And Jonathan's gone again. I'm sure he'll be back, but yeah, let's take some of the comments. Meanwhile, Jonathan comes back. Yeah, Toure saying we're not playing better without them, and the money we earned from them was spent horribly. Look, yeah, of course we're not playing with. I wouldn't, put the two together. It's got nothing to do with being without them. We're just not playing better for the entire 90 minutes. I think we've seen snippets of us playing better, but it's got nothing to do with Mount and Havertz not being there. That's just an irrelevant point. We're just not playing better. That's it. That's a separate issue, not because of Mount and Havertz. Have we spent the money properly? Probably not. Probably looking back now, we probably haven't. But yeah, Jonathan, continue, brother.
So yeah,
Kai
just
Havertz.
just on Havertz, really, it's more that we don't know his true position. We were happy that Arteta came in the summer and said it almost looked like, you know, he's going to play as an 8. He's going to be someone that we build the team around. And Arsenal fans are now telling me you were right. He doesn't have consistency. You don't know his true position. He comes on against us, and Arsenal fans were saying, "Oh, you know, he did all right as a target man. He helped us score that second goal, or helped us get back into the game in another previous game. I think it was against City." But there's no real evidence of consistent quality. And that's what you want. And as a Premier League player and the demands and the needs of this league, you have to be someone that is willing to throw the body around. He's got the frame, doesn't use it. Has the technical ability, doesn't use it. It's almost like it's half effort every time he puts his foot on the ball. Like every pass bobbles, every kind of juggling or jostling
Jonathan,
for the ball.
You remember when you and I both watched Kai Havertz in Abu Dhabi in the Club World Cup, and after both those matches, we were like, if there's one player that has those abilities, the technical abilities, that first touch, that silky touch, can have that burst of pace out of nowhere, like he's deceptively fast. We've seen it live. When we were there in Abu Dhabi a couple of years ago, we were like, this guy could be something special. Like he's got everything.
Yeah.
But
I was hoping.
I can't believe
can
it didn't work out.
Can take a penalty under pressure as well. That was one thing I really liked about him. He'd step up when he needed to. But that's the thing. When you are given so many chances to prove your quality, I know it was in various positions for us, but he's played in a very similar role for Arsenal in the games he's played, and you don't show it. There is going to be patience that just wears very, very thin. So I think Arsenal fans are already seeing it. I think, as you say, maybe next season Arteta will be giving up with him unless he can somehow mold him into the player that he thinks he can be. There is definitely quality there, but I just don't think the Premier League is for him. He needs a lot more space. He needs a lot more love. He needs to be the main man, and he's not been the main man at Chelsea, and he won't be the main man at Arsenal. You know, the sum of all the parts for Arsenal are greater.
Do you think, Jonathan, if we still kept Havertz and Mason Mount in our current squad with the additions that we've included in the likes of Caicedo, in the likes of Malo Gusto and Desassi and all the other players that we brought in, do you think we would have done better? Is Havertz better than Jackson? Is Mount better than Gallagher?
If I'm being brutally honest, I think Havertz would have played as a false 9 or a striker a little bit, especially when Jackson and Brozier were out with injuries. I think he would have played a little bit. I don't think we'd have got any extra change out of him. I don't think it'd have affected the team anymore. I think he would have played. Mason Mount potentially could have played in the Gallagher role because he's someone that is very good off the ball. And that's the thing. Mason Mount, Conor Gallagher, they are poor man's Cole Palmer. They don't have the technical ability. They can press, but they don't have anything. And this is what my beef was with Gallagher earlier in the season. And I've kind of now accepted his role. His role is if Enzo and Caicedo are playing behind him, have the quality to get on the ball, intercept and move it quickly. He is someone that presses their DMs, presses their centre-backs, tries to win the ball higher up the pitch, gets in and around teams, is that player that gets in your face. With Enzo and Caicedo behind him, it sort of works when you've got Palmer, when you've got Sterling, when you've got other players that can affect the game in a positive sense. But Gallagher hasn't got that final ball, and he's very limited. But in that role, as that extra kind of midfielder, the spare man, he can be useful.
Maybe it can work.
As much as I still think...
Not against top teams, though. Not against top teams. Like real top teams. Now, people will say, oh, we played Arsenal recently. Oh, yeah, sure, Arsenal. But Arsenal is not the same Arsenal like last season. They didn't
play that well either.
Yeah.
I think we can't give ourselves too much credit as much as we played well. We came up against a weak side. If they played like they did today... And
it's evident. Like, they've lost against Newcastle as well today. Like, even though it's a controversial goal or whatever the case is, I see a lot of hoo-ha in social media. But that happened in the 64th minute, that goal. They had ample time to come back into the match. And the fact that they're only talking about the goal, and we've seen it, it's not a surprise. Arsenal have not been good all throughout the season. Not the same Arsenal of last season. So, continue, Jonathan, in regards to Gallagher.
But yeah, so in that role, Gallagher works. He didn't work in the deeper role against Blackburn. In any other of the games this season, he's played in a deeper role because he's not good enough defensively. Again, with the Crystal Palace team that he played in, I think Swansea and Charlton, he was on loan as well. He was always someone that was combative, someone that would face up the play, try and win the ball high up the pitch. I just don't think he's got that final touch, or the final ball. But as I say, he works, and I have no issue with players that put in 110%. Yeah. And that's one thing that you cannot take away from him. Someone that always gives his all, and as match-going fans will always tell you, that is always going to be respected. And even when you see it on the TV, you have to give him his due that he is someone that will give his all, and you can't.
Honestly speaking, I've never seen him not put his 100%. Like, he always puts his 100%.
That's the
whether
thing.
It's rain, sunshine, or hail, whatever the case is. He's always 100. He's 100. Do you know what I mean?
But that's why I think Mount could potentially have played that role. Again, he's had his injury issues. Maybe that would have been the role he would have played in his Poch team. I think Poch would have utilised him as a squad man as well. But both players, I don't think, start on our best 11. And the fact that we've got some good money for them. I mean, the fact that we sold them for 120 million and we bought in Caicedo, Enzo for that kind of money. I always think that hopefully, we effectively replace Mount with someone like Palmer. We effectively replace someone like Havertz with Nkunku. And if you match those two up together, it does look like an upgrade. But if you continue to have injuries, if you continue to have managerial issues, if you continue to have patterns of play that don't make any sense, or a lack of patterns of play, I can't even say that there is patterns of play that we can adhere to or we can talk about. But this is the thing, that there's so many issues at Chelsea, and I touch on the off the field ones where you've got a board that doesn't sort the sponsorship out. You've got a stadium that is in need of repair, not as much as Man United, but it's still in need of repair. They're charging fans extortionate amounts of money to sit in an area of the stadium. You've got, everything now is how much money can we make from the fans, whether it be Megastore emails. Every time we win a game, 24-hour sale, we won a game. And these little things get into your head, and it's just an incessant need to push the fact that we want to make money. And that's the thing, the off the field issues, all these little things then tumble together, and we blend them in with the on the field issues. And I just don't see, there's nothing positive about Chelsea at the moment. I used to enjoy watching football and enjoy watching Chelsea. And now I've not fallen out of it, but I've fallen out of love of watching Chelsea because I just don't know which side is going to turn up. We don't score against Brentford. You just know we're not going to score and we're going to lose the game. It was the same thing that's happened so many times in the last 2 seasons. They'll score a goal on the counter or a set piece, and we're not going to win the game because we didn't score and we didn't capitalise on our chances. And that's the thing. All these little things we've talked about all add up, and it
all adds up. It all piles on.
That's why do you think I get annoyed yesterday about the quotes? And that's the thing. People say don't take so much of offence. It's only words. There's much bigger things going on in the world, and I do, subscribe to that. I do get that. However, Chelsea is something that I've followed for most of the 32 years I've been on this earth, and I have a deep-rooted love for it. And when we don't do well, it hurts. And, for some fans that are casual or some fans that don't quite understand, a love that people have for football, and don't understand how much we care, it's frustrating because, you know, as fans, we do care a lot. And I get it for a lot of these players and managers. It's just a job. I totally understand that. I'm not someone, you know, with the owners that come in. They don't really care about Chelsea. They're thinking, how much money can we make from this cash cow? We've invested for a reason, and that's to make money out of this investment on the long haul. But I just want some people to use their footballing brain in the, you know, the footballing side of the club. Tell Pochettino to stop being so stupid with his comments, to start giving an identity to our side, to start giving us a purpose in each game, and to give the fans something to cheer about. Because I go into my office every week and I know it's small things, but I go in thinking, here we go again. What we're going to talk about today about Chelsea. It's embarrassing. I don't like going in on Mondays, to be honest. I'm actually so glad we're not playing on Saturday and Sunday, because I can go in on Monday morning and go, oh, it's been a great weekend, guys. We haven't lost a game of football. And these are the things, you know, as a fan that irk you. So
now you're going to cop it on Tuesday morning. Now you're going to cop it on.
Yeah, I'm not in on Tuesday for that reason. In just in case, if we win, maybe I'll be going into the office. But no, that's the thing. It's, you know, we only talk about Chelsea because we care, because we love it. And as I say, I repeat, I'm not expecting the players and managers who see this as a job to care about this.
And we've lost Jonathan again. I'm sure he'll be back. But yeah, like, as some of you guys have been commenting, like, yeah, I mean, Pochettino, he needs to start winning games, man. And I've said it in my previous stream that I don't really care anymore about some of the comments that he has to say in press conference. I don't even watch press conference, to be honest. So he needs to start winning games. Lil Blue notes is saying, brother, the fact that we're looking up at this United team is disgusting. Absolutely right. Raphael saying, you're always looking for negativity. Raphael, look, you need to understand reality. I'm not the one who's been writing those quotes. I'm not the ones who's putting out those quotes. People need to understand. Jonathan, or even myself, obviously I run this channel, but Jonathan as well, who does, you know, some sort of content creating on X as well, you know, provides his opinion. We're not the one who's doing the news. Like I'm not the source here. Like, we see the news and we provide our opinions on it. So you're saying you're always looking for negativity. I'm not looking for nothing. I'm not looking for nothing. I see what I see with the news that's coming out, and we react to that. So, Raphael, ever have I made up any news on my channel, because I don't have the time to do that. So we'll keep it to that, because I don't want to elaborate too much on it. Jonathan, I want to talk about the next topic. Doku. Jeremy, what's his name? Jeremy Doku? Is that Jeremy Doku? Yeah. Jeremy Doku. Bro, this guy is electric, bro. I mean, there was a moment where we were linked with him, I think in the summer, when we were looking at buying wingers or an attacking player. I remember seeing Doku back in the Euros prior to the World Cup, and I was very excited by it, but he was a young prospect. He still is a very young prospect. I didn't watch him since then, but I knew this guy's got the quality. I think today he scored a goal and 4 assists. I mean, that's ridiculous. I want to ask you, Jonathan, and a lot of people have been commenting about this, saying that if Doku was at Chelsea, he don't have the same impact. He simply wouldn't get those assists that he's getting at Man City. Those players are a lot more polished. It's a good environment for him to develop. Pep Guardiola obviously is an absolute masterclass of a manager, one of the greatest of all time, no doubts about that. Jonathan, are you of the same belief? If Doku was at Chelsea, he don't have the same impact?
No, 100%. You know, they say it takes a year to kind of get into Poch's system. Grealish has talked about it. A lot of other players have talked about it. But he's just slotted right in, hasn't he? It's ridiculous. He's so good as a footballer. He's got the raw ability. Obviously, still very young. And that's the thing with pace in the Premier League is always going to get you somewhere. You need to obviously have the final touch, and it seems that he does. But he's in a team that, you know, makes so many chances, and you know, it must be an absolute delight to be a striker or midfielder in that team, to have so many chances come your way. I mean, he's further ahead than Mudryk. I think Mudryk, in terms of amount of first team games that Doku's had compared to Mudryk, in the sense of the exposure that he's had to an elite manager now for only a few months in Pep, yeah, there's a lot of difference. I think he's got the speed, but he's got the technical ability, which Mudryk clearly needs to work on. I see a lot of good things from training from Mudryk. It needs to be translated into games. Doku's already done that very quickly. It's very difficult to
Madueke
acclimatise
as
to the
well.
Premier League.
Madueke, he's been around at
Yeah,
Chelsea
again,
for a little
someone who's
while.
got quality. It's almost like these players get so many injuries. Why are these players at Man City and other teams not getting them? It's just very strange because they're all doing the same actions. It's not like you can say, well, it's that kind of player. You know, he's a tricky player. Ankles are always going to be very soft because he's rolling, he's moving. The agility has to be there. You know, he's very quick, so he's going to get little hamstring injuries. Why are we always getting injuries and not the other teams? It's so frustrating to see. But yeah, for me, he's a very good player. I need to watch the highlights because I want to see how much of an electric player this guy is. It's really interesting to see how other teams attack because I never see it as a Chelsea fan. I'm like, they've got to the byline, they've cut it back, they've switched to playing, they've got like 3 players around the box, they've got 4 players in the box for a cross, and I'm like, wow, how comes we don't do that? And, you know, and as I said earlier, I watch Man City and sometimes it can be a little bit boring and pedantic, but really and truly, they are a side that makes so many chances. I mean, Haaland would score 150 goals if he scored even 10% of his chances.
100%.
So,
Haaland wouldn't be scoring that level of goals he scored last season at City. He wouldn't be scoring at Chelsea. You know that, right? Remember when we got rumoured with Haaland to come to Chelsea? There is no player like KDB or even the others, Mahrez, when he was at City, or anyone else. We had Lukaku and we never fed him enough. Like, obviously, Lukaku flopped too, but we never I always said Lukaku, with all the shenanigans that he's done and with his character, I would never have him back at the football club. There's no doubts about that. He's self-sabotaged the situation. But I always maintain Lukaku ain't a bad striker. Lukaku's not a bad striker.
No,
people are seeing him at Roma. But we never gave him the service. And had we had Haaland at Chelsea Football Club, I'll tell you right now, Haaland don't get those same goals that he's got at City at Chelsea Football Club categorically.
Yeah. No, 100%. 100%. And it's because of the chances that we create. And it's just understanding what needs to be done differently. And Pochettino is obviously tasked with that. And I really hope that we start to see something come to fruition because, it's just frightening, as I say, to watch other teams and the way they attack and then watch us attack. And it's like, I just don't quite get how we can be so slow on the ball.
Does it bother you that the fact that players like Jeremy Doku, they can go to City and they can click so quickly? And I get it. They're a far-established football club. They've got a manager that's been there for a very long time. They've got a lot of experienced players. They've won a lot of stuff. I get that. I get their situation's far ahead. But, Jonathan, does it actually... And the live chat as well, let me know in your comments. Does it bother you guys that whenever we get excited about a particular prospect, we get excited about a particular player that is doing so well at their home club and we want him to come to Chelsea Football Club and do well for us, does it bother you that they may not perform the way they've been performing at their home club and then they come to Chelsea, it may be totally different as opposed to how things are at City? Like, does it bother you that players can come to Chelsea and just don't click straight away?
It does annoy me, but again, it's the surroundings that they're being given, and it's the coaching that they're given. It's the players around them as well. So it's just annoying, as I say, to watch other teams be so good because they seamlessly seem to slot in, but it's because, and I said it yesterday and I'll say it again today, teams have a specific system, a specific way of playing. They can take one player out like Newcastle did, like Man City do, even like Arsenal do. Liverpool do it as well very well. You take one player out and every player knows exactly the role that they have to play. Chelsea haven't got that because we've sacked managers. We've brought in different managers with different styles. We've had 3 at the back, 4 at the back, 2 at the back, 1 at the back. I don't know how many at the back. Apparently we had 5. Apparently we had 10. I don't know. So the fact that we don't have a system and we don't have a pattern of play is very difficult for these players to come in and assimilate because they don't know exactly what is needed from them because they've got so many different managers, so many different styles. And that's why we struggle. When you have a manager that's there for 4 or 5 seasons, that has a style of play, players can come in and go, that's exactly what he's needed. It's interesting because you hear like Lampard, you hear Tuchel, you hear Pochettino say, or Klopp even say, I talked to this player, told him exactly why I wanted him to come to this club, his role within the club. And that's what convinced him to come to the club. What does Pochettino, what does Chelsea say to these players other than you're going to get a fat contract, decent money, bonus incentivized, you can potentially win a lot of trophies, but it's not guaranteed. What do you say? Well, I mean, where did Pochettino in the summer go? Well, you can't rely on Nkunku in your number 10 role, false 9 role, whatever he was going to play, and build a team around him. That can't be. You take one player out because of an injury.
That can't be your blueprint. That can't be your blueprint.
Ruin your whole season because if that's
it's naive. It's naive. Do you know what I mean?
That's the player that you bought in to affect the team. Of course, it's a good signing. But
Jonathan, do you remember when Sarri said, taking you back to the Sarri season? Do you remember when Sarri said, for me, the philosophy or the style of football is the number one thing. That's the paramount, the structure, and the players complement that. It's not the other way around. It's not the players are the main thing, and then style comes after that. Sarri categorically said for him, it's the organization, it's the structure, it's the we'll have Jonathan back very, very soon. But yeah, live chat. Sarri, I categorically remember him saying that the style of football, the philosophy, the structure, the organization is far more important than the individual themselves, because for Sarri, he wanted the individual to complement the structure, not the individual being the be all and end all of the whole thing. So, Jonathan, do you agree with that? That a manager should not have a certain player as the key cog for everything that they do, because if that player is injured for a long period of time, then potentially what the manager is saying that I don't have any other way of playing football.
We've had this with Reece James and Ben Chilwell, as left wing backs and right wing backs, where we had a system that was so reliant upon them. And that's fine if the players are not injury prone. That's fine as long as you've got players to come in and take their place. Maybe not as good, but at least number twos that can step in and do a similar role. That's what happens when you rely solely on one player. Man City take out Haaland, you bring in Julian Alvarez. Man City don't even have De Bruyne this season since the first 30 minutes of the season. Their best player. A lot of players say former, current, one of the best players they've ever seen, one of the best midfielders the Premier League's ever seen. Well, Man City, top, albeit by a game played, top of the league without their best player. Haaland hasn't scored anywhere near as many goals as he could have done. They've been not great in some games. Still top of the league. Liverpool have gone through seismic changes in the last few seasons. They've lost two of their best players in recent years under Mane and Firmino, a team that was built around them. They've somehow moved on, brought in other players. They've adjusted it. And it's because they have a system that is the sum of all of the parts and not individuals. So it is a big problem if you have a game of football so reliant on one player. Yeah. And that's why I will always say to anyone that says it, Reece James is not the best right back in the world. He's a very good fullback, a very good wing back, probably the best wing back in the world. But is he the best right back in the world? Because A, always injured. B, barely played at right back for Chelsea. Not doubting his quality and how good he is for our club. But he's someone that you can't say is the best in his position because he hasn't played there enough.
And he's made mistakes as well from that side. I've seen many times where Cross would come in and he's got no clue who's behind him and they've scored, just like what happened with Malo Gusto in recent times.
I mean, it's frustrating because I'm someone who has sat here and seen the issues that he's had in his career at Chelsea. We've got a big game coming up against an unbeaten Tottenham, and there's fans that obviously want him to play because he's a very good player. Yeah. I'm not subscribing to that fact purely because, as you say, still didn't look anywhere near 50% fit even against Blackburn. Played a couple of other minutes in other games. Why would you risk him in such a big game where we've had concentration issues, we've had defensive issues? He's not 100%.
The intensity is going to be a lot more than Blackburn. Like, do you know what I mean? He's got to be going in hard for Jules. He's got to run up in that look. The one thing I will say that Reece James that I saw from the Blackburn game, from an attacking standpoint, Jonathan, he does give us that width and he does give us that ability from that right side. But the issue is, Jonathan, who's going to finish his crosses? Do you know what I mean?
Good
So
question. I mean, there's a couple where the last few games he's played, he's put them across the box, or he's looked to put them across the box. You're not quite sure what run Jackson's making, whether he's going to the penalty spot, whether he's going front post, whether he's going near post. And it's not just on him, because it's not only his fault, but as a striker, you've got to take that responsibility on board. So yeah, I wouldn't risk him. And that's the thing, he's one of our best players, but I wouldn't risk him because I'm more worried about him being injured in the long run. Why risk him for one game, which is going to be
and then
very
he's gone
high.
for 6 more months. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm now so worried about his injuries. Same with Chilwell, same with other players, that you play him and then he's going to be out for a long time. But that's the thing, we've got a lot of question marks over a lot of our team. Who's our starting centre-back partnership? I don't think Silva's in that anymore because he's getting older now. We need to move on. We can't just rely on him until his legs fall off. And you've got a very good young centre-back in Badiashile, and someone's just mentioned it in the chat. And then you've got Colwell. I don't see why we can't be relying on them with one game a week moving forward, because that could be a centre-back partnership of the future. A goalkeeper we still haven't sorted, a striker we still haven't sorted. We're not sure who our left back and right back are because we don't know injury-wise. We've got a midfield now, which is
we do have
good.
a midfield, but I feel like our midfield is always open. I've not seen a single game where we've locked up the opposition. I feel like
Arsenal did well
really
in the midfield.
Arsenal,
I thought against Liverpool, okay,
yes,
but they are still acclimatized into Premier League. But my issue with having two South Americans in the middle of your midfield, every international break, they go and travel for miles. They play on like Wednesday mornings. They come back for a Saturday and they're absolutely shattered. I mean, if you look at Casado and Enzo after the international break, the last one, they looked a bit shattered. And that's part of the reason why we slipped against Arsenal in the previous international break that we played. And I'm not saying don't buy South American players, but when you mould a midfield on two players that historically and will be going away for crazy amounts of miles, crazy,
and they're about to go again. They're about to go again.
Yeah, in what 2-3 weeks? So you've just got to be a bit smarter about managing your team and about managing the personnel. So yeah, it's interesting to say the least about how many problems we've had. But that's the thing. We've got so many issues that we could delve into. And we're sitting here talking about Pochettino mainly. And obviously we joke about Mount and Havertz, and it's interesting to talk about other players. But really and truly, the deep-rooted issues that we have, we could delve into that for hours and hours, and we're not. And it's frustrating because the focus should be on the football. The focus should be on the result. And I feel like,
and we've lost Jonathan, but yeah, we'll carry on. Obviously, Jonathan will come back very, very soon. Mish is saying that's why we got Lavia. Remember him? No, you're right, Mish. You're absolutely right. This is one of the reasons why we wanted to stack up that midfield. But Lavia also, God knows when he's going to be back. I don't know. Is there any news that's been coming up in recent times as to when Lavia is going to be back? I have not seen it. And even when he does eventually make an appearance back into the training, it's going to take a bit of time until he's actually established into the team. So, Jonathan Mish over here is saying that it's probably one of the reasons why we've got Lavia, just to sort of give us that bolstering, of midfield. But I don't know when this guy's going to be available. I've not seen any news as yet when he might be back into team training properly, and then when he could actually eventually start. Because let's be honest, he's not even kicked a ball. Like, he needs match sharpness. He needs match fitness. We may not even see him until, I don't know, we're in November, international break in about a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
we won't see him in November.
It's a typical Chelsea signing, to be honest, isn't it? Come in already injured, gets another injury, hasn't played for us. It's the history of the Chelsea. So to quote Bonucci, but change the club.
That's dirty, bro. That's dirty.
It's a never-ending cesspit of injuries, and it's so frustrating to see because you can't just keep using that as an excuse. And I get there's been issues, and I get Pochettino has had some problems, but he's had an array of talent come through his front door. Some of it not always available to him, but the ones he has had available to him, I don't think he's utilised yet. And I know it will take some time. I'm someone who is willing to give him time, but it's frustrating to see, as I say, the issues that we have, and we're focusing on nonsense comments that he's made.
Yeah. No, it's mad. It's absolutely mad. We're going to wrap things up, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully, Jonathan and we can get another opportunity soon to talk about the upcoming match against Spurs, but I think time difference will probably be a bit of an issue until next weekend. Again, when I catch up with Jonathan again, or maybe one of the evenings. Jonathan's
yeah, one of the evenings. I may be with Worldwide Chelsea. I'm debating to see what he's doing for the Tottenham game. I know you'll probably do a watch along with him, so let's see. I may go and see him to watch it, because I don't think if I watch it on my own, I may ease into
do that. Pop by his place, and we will watch it together. I think that would be fantastic.
I'll ease into a depression if I sit on my own and we're losing. At least if I'm there, I can have some camaraderie.
I honestly feel, it's going to be a dangerous game. I honestly do feel like.
I hope that they surprise us. But
yeah, look, I'm hoping for a victory. We definitely need a victory. We're drifting away far and far into the abyss. We need a victory. But I'm scared that if with all these quotes that has come out pre-match, which don't look so good, and on top of that, if we end up losing, I think I might lose my mind, bro. I really think I might lose my mind, because after that we got City, who just walloped whoever they walloped for 6-1. I don't even remember, but yeah, that's going to be a difficult game to catch as well. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys have enjoyed this late night stream. We'll try and do this as often as we can, especially during the weekend, because it's easier for both of us. During the weekdays, both of us, we have work, so it's tough. But we will try our level best. But as Jonathan said, he might be with Sadiq for the watch along. And I think that will be interesting to have both of them together, and obviously myself here, and we can have an electric watch along. It will be a dangerous game. I feel like it will be a dangerous game. But let's see. Smash the like button. If you're here for the first time, subscribe. Hit the bell notification as well to keep in touch with all my content. Make sure you follow Jonathan on X, manhandlecfc. That is his at. If you enjoy his analysis, and I saw some really lovely comments yesterday on the video, so make sure you follow him. You just get a lot of level-headed, balanced conversation, no ranting, and sometimes you might get some ranting, but you're going to get all angles covered. And if you think it's negative for you, then I'm sorry, this channel's not for you. Then move on and go somewhere else. I'm not forcing anyone to stay here if you think it's negative. So yeah, as Mish is saying, big up Miz and Jonathan Garrett stream. Brilliant. All right, take care and see ya. Bye.